Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking another look here at Bitcoin, just kind of seeing what's going on here for the weekend, just kind of a little bit of a weekend forecast. While it's kind of drawn dead and just kind of zeroing itself out this weekend, we can kind of expect a decent amount of potential pullback come Monday, and I'll explain what I mean by that, just based on the simple fact that traditional markets are still up, probably going to contract and pull back to their actual starting points. I'll explain what I mean by that here in a minute. So if you're new to the channel, though, just know that I love teaching people to trade. This is my full-time job, and I've been trading for over 17 years. So if you want to become a better trader, of course, cryptocash.tech is a site. You can join our Discord with some amazing traders. We've got some fantastic trades going on right now here. Nice pickup there, Alexander, with a long from looks. Looks like a nice 20x leverage from 27 cents to 33 cents. And of course, we got our MEXC Global. I have an affiliation with them as well, linked down below if you're interested in using them. They're actually really good in other countries outside of Bitget and ByBit scope. So when it comes to MEXC, awesome stuff there. They have really low fees. Check them out, of course, with a 1-inch 94% long here from one of my wonderful admins here, SAC. So again, 82% long there. So you can just see a ton of awesome opportunities here for my community members. So keep up the great work. Really happy for you guys. And obviously, we want to be part of a amazing trading competition. Bitget's got you covered. Every month we have a new prize pool. It varies depending on volume, but of course, it's always an option for you if you use the link down below. Same thing with ByBit as well. They have a $30,000 deposit reward depending on how much you transfer over and utilize. They'll also be providing us with some trading competitions soon. So awesome stuff there. Be sure to check that out. And of course, you will need a VPN. So just heads up, I got ExpressVPN 3 months free with a 12-month plan there. Thanks again to Express, ByBit, Bitget, MEXC, pretty much all these amazing opportunities to be able to benefit our community. So that's what it's for. It's all for you. And that being said, with Bitcoin, what we want to look at here, of course, is a handful of little things. So first and foremost, I would say it's important I recognize the traditional markets and kind of see what's going on. So if you look at the regular markets, you can kind of see here, we had a correction and a pullback to the most recent support level. Well, I wouldn't say to there. It's actually gravitating towards that. That's where I feel that we might see a slight correction here from NASDAQ. There's a good chance we could see a bouncing point somewhere in the range of about 3% correction. That may not happen all in one day, but it could happen very well soon in the next week. Same thing with S&P as well here. There's a strong resistance level here that we broke through here recently. So if the price were to pull back, we're looking at about a 1% correction. So between 1 to 3% correction would make sense from traditional markets to fill that gap throughout the weekend here. And of course, same thing with Bitcoin as well. We could very well see it come down to about 23,000. I would say if we lose 23,000, there's a decent chance we will see the 21.5 or the 20,000 mark. There's potential for that. So I'd say just be ready and be open to the option of that being the case. Even though I am loving the fact that Bitcoin is back on track for the most part, we're still not out of the woods yet. And until we surpass this most recent resistance level here at about 25,000, a little over 25, we're not going to be in the clear, right? Because again, there's a significant gap in this range here from 25 to somewhere in the range of about 28 to 30. Okay, so that gap would absolutely be filled if we break through 25K, but there's a lot of shorts leveraging their position right above that level, and it's pretty safe to presume if we don't break 25K in the near future, we should see a retracement to 21,500 at the very least. That's my speculation because again, this is the most recent high, tested twice, broke through pretty strong, therefore it should be the most recent low if the price were to eventually come back down there. Okay, so again, I want the price to go up, don't get me wrong, but it's absolutely makes sense if it were to pull back just based on a few other factors. Let's look at the traditional markets, traditional indicators, and now that we understand how the traditional markets are looking, right? So first of all, we've got this type of divergence here where we can see the price action increasing and the RSI decreasing. A lot of times that implies that there would be a potential bounce. So we do got to understand that there's still potential for the price to break through to the upside. That's why you have pennant type of patterns that break out upwards when the RSI calms back down, because it's still able to maintain its price point at that level, and then it bounces off a key level support. Okay, that key level support could be 23,000. So it does look like 23 should be our immediate support level. We lose that, 21.5 is the next available. We do have a pretty significant divergence here. It's still gaining momentum, so bear this in mind. This is kind of somewhat of a forecast letting us know that potential further downside could occur, but that significant increase was so impactful or profound that the MACD, while it's still coming down, the price is coming up. It's a unique phenomenon that you see mostly in cryptocurrency. You don't see it in traditional markets, but it is something nonetheless that's relevant here. We do have a potential golden cross here as well. So take a look at this guy. 200-day SMA averaging itself out, 50 intersecting in upward fashion. That commonly implies the price will continue further up from here. So we do have a bullish convergence on the RSI. We've also got a potential golden cross. The only thing that is kind of foreshadowing that, or telling us that we may not see that increase, is the fact that we have a potential correction from traditional markets. But as we can kind of understand generally, traditional markets aren't 100% affecting Bitcoin at this point. So just one of those things where we got to kind of recognize that Bitcoin is moving fairly independent of traditional markets, even though they are up. It's still one of those things where it's kind of marching to the beat of its own drum to an extent, because we have a lot of new money coming back into the market. Those are positive signs. That really could imply that we have slightly more chance of an incline over the weekend versus a decrease. And I say over the weekend, I'm including Monday and Sunday, of course, when we have the actual leverage hours open, right back open on Sunday. So let's take a quick look here at the 4 hour, kind of start wrapping things up here. We can see we kind of bouncing off 50 on the RSI too, and we are making still, at this point, higher lows continuously. While we don't have higher highs yet, this does imply that we have a potential wedge forming, where the price action is working itself out to a wedge here, and that there is potential for breakout to the upside. So once more, both timeframes are kind of telling us there's stronger potential for an increase in the relative near future than a decrease. Now, I don't want to get that twisted. It could very well come back down. Keep this in mind. But it does feel like longs are maybe slightly more favored at this point than a short position, and getting in closer to 23,000 would make sense. So the price were to pull back down to 23, that would be a good consideration for an entry. This does give me a consideration as well for a long ultimately, with multiple entry targets. As you probably already know, if you're part of my community, you'll know that is definitely something I like to do. But on the 4 hour, we do have a convergence forming. Hasn't happened yet, but if this continues to average itself out sideways or up, then we will see, of course, that breakout potential occur to the upside here with this. So once again, daily and the 4 hour both look favorable for further upside, minus traditional markets kind of giving us an indication they may pull back. And again, I didn't do a thorough analysis on the traditional markets. I'm consistently keeping an eye on them because it's relevant. But again, if it decreases on Monday, Bitcoin could still very well hold its price point at 23,000, which currently shows to be a very strong support level. So taking a look at the hourly, let's just go ahead and summarize here. Don't see much of a sequence here in numbers. I mean, even though we came down to an 8, it's not like a significant decrease in price, and the price kind of is jumping around a little bit on the hourly. So that's pretty standard for weekends. I wouldn't expect or anticipate too much here. The truth is, though, that we are below the cloud at this point. So it basically just implies that we lost that momentum to the upside, while the conversion line is coming up to the baseline and they're almost intersecting. That's a positive. That doesn't imply we want to take a long position just yet, because we're not above the cloud, right? So again, this is a conservative indicator. You don't necessarily have to follow it to a T, but you can let it be your guide here. And the fact that the lagging span is still inside the price action implies that we should probably wait a little bit longer for entry. While I love the big picture, I like to have full-on confirmation before I take entry if possible. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't still take entry on a trade with multiple entry targets, right? Because if you have small percentages that you're adding at different points, then you're going to average your price down if the price comes back down. If it doesn't, you still get to be able to get filled on the way up. I set that up through my Cornix quite frequently, which is why I love ByBit as well, because they're affiliated with them. So make sure you use the link down below if you haven't already, to ensure that you are part of that, so you can be part of the trading community. And just in general, using that Cornix automated trading bot makes things so much easier. So again, thanks to Ken Cornix for the opportunity there to be able to make that an easier thing for us. But what I'm getting at here is, if I were to use that, just say for example, an automated trading bot, I would consider taking entry now, right? Just say for example, because it does look like it wants to continue higher in the relative near future. I would also consider entry at a lower price point as well, maybe 23,000 or just below that. And then if the price comes down to bounce off that support level, you get average fill at this halfway point. If it doesn't get filled, that's okay, because the price keeps going up and you hit your targets either way. So it's kind of a win-win in a lot of ways. That's why you see me use multiple entry targets, specifically in bear markets, because you're never truly quite sure what's going to happen next. But for lack of better terms here, there's a lot of positive here. I would say more so on the daily and the 4 hour. The hourly, we don't have confirmation just yet. So in truth, waiting a little bit longer might be advantageous. However, it does look like the daily and the 4 hour are forming up to be pretty strong and potent here potentially in the near future. So something to pay attention to here as well. I do feel like Bitcoin is on the rise and we will see a retest 25,000, but keep in mind we'll probably get initially rejected off that point just based on the way that things normally work. Okay, so if we do surge up to 25K this week, try not to get overzealous. Try to make sure to wait for that pullback, maybe to back down to 24. That would make sense to me. All right, so those are kind of just little things to look for. That is pretty much all I got here for today. Once again, weekend forecasts are a little quiet, not a tremendous amount of volume or volatility, but it is nonetheless good TA here. So thanks again for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.